So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother.
There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you, first thing I would say, this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in, as is currently required? She's trying to lift that requirement.
Well, I think it's always good to get a second opinion, and for at least two providers to be involved in that decision, because these decisions shouldn't be taken lightly. And so, I would certainly support more than one provider.
And what they're really legalizing is infanticide. What's fascinating is, several years ago, you'd been talking about this for an extended time period. You had the various undercover reporters go in and document that Planned Parenthood was doing this with various organizations and associations in California. The news story that came out tried to filter and frame and reinterpret and reconstruct what they said by saying, oh, these were selectively edited like they claim about James Keefe. They said that these videos were not accurate, were not honest, were not correct, and it turns out they were. In fact, it went up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals earlier just this month, and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals said that what these people had videotaped was actually accurate. It wasn't selectively edited. It was that what was really happening, where they were harvesting organs and various stem cells and other aspects of a baby's physical body for the purposes of personal political profit. In fact, not only that, the Orange County District Attorney brought charges against several of these organizations, forced them to leave the state, disclosed that they had made over $8 million or close to it. And yet those stories were completely suppressed, that unless you were following it in detail, the establishment press never reported it. Instead, in fact, the state of California, me and some other lawyers fought it, but the state of California tried to criminalize what was videotaped. They tried to make it a crime to do undercover reporting of that type. If it didn't have certain levels of certain kinds of pre-approved approval from certain select political sources, then you could go to prison for doing what those guys did when they documented this whole scandal and put it in video format. And then here you have now the state of New York and the state of Virginia openly celebrating it, openly welcoming it, openly trying to make it state law to basically treat a human being like nothing more than a piece of cattle. It's the ultimate form of dehumanization. If you can dehumanize a little baby, then you can dehumanize anybody, any place, anywhere, anytime. So it's part of this broader campaign that it's meant to undermine the humanity and the humanitarian experience and the universality of humanitarianism. I remember when I met one of the top-ranking people in the Planned Parenthood when I was a kid at Yale. We did a group. In fact, I did it with Justice Breyer's daughter. We were doing a debate series. He was there. He was discussing it. We did a dinner later, and he just presumed that I would agree with him when I didn't. But he's sitting there talking to me, and he's saying, well, Bob, if you really look at these things, you should look at where the population is expanding and where we need to control it. And I was like, So this is basically...
That was code for minorities.
Absolutely. He was saying we need to repress the African population, the Latin population, the Asian population, that he made it clear that this was just the sterilization campaigns of the 19-teens and 1920s, which people forget was the true inspiration to the Nazis. The Nazis constantly gave credit to the
Margaret Sanger and the Rockefellers.
Absolutely, to that entire movement.
That's why it's so refreshing to talk to you, because you know your history. Most lawyers I talk to, they're really good at law, but I tell them stuff about history. They look at me like I'm a Chinese jet pilot.
And Northam really disclosed that. It was fascinating to watch it with that sort of silky Southern accent. He hides the nefarious nature of what he's saying. Because he's like, well, especially, people that have certain disabilities and certain problems.
He said they might have it, and we're going to take care of it.
Exactly.
The baby's going to be comfortable while we get the goodies.
Exactly. We'll wrap them up in a nice, tight little row, and then we'll strangle them. I mean, it's a sick mindset.
And he tells the women, who look upset, he goes, we don't tell women what to do now.
Exactly.
And they're like, oh,
this is deeply disturbing. You're seeing the insights of a psychopathic, sociopathic mind.
It's the most vampiric crap I've ever seen.
Absolutely. And he's putting it right there for everybody, and he's the governor of one of the biggest states in our union. It's one of the sort of sickest, most disturbing ways to do it. Because once you can dehumanize a baby, you can dehumanize anybody, any place, anywhere, anytime. It's the ultimate extension, the ultimate expansion of a mindset where people in elite positions of privilege and power don't see human beings.
It's the final frontier.
And to disguise this kind of horrific, dehumanizing in the name of motherhood, to call it, oh, we're going to
Mommies, give us them babies.
Precisely. It's a degree of darkness. And I think what shocked him was he probably didn't expect this public reaction.
Well, he didn't. He thought he was so slick, like,
yeah,
we're not just killing them when they're coming out the birth canal. We make them real comfortable.
And then he uses, it was amazing the language he uses. He gets away from all death language. He says, oh, we'll just make them comfortable, and then a decision will be made.
A decision?
Not we're going to kill him, we're going to whack him. I don't want the governor to
be hurt, but imagine him tied up. I got a big old knife or something. Oh, we got a decision coming.
Exactly.
We going to decide. You don't.
Precisely. And it's a rebirth. Like, people forget the whole vaccination issue. My populism professor at Yale, what he studied was the anti-vaccination movement of Portland in the 1920s. Because, in fact, there was a populist movement because under the guise of vaccination, they were doing illicit sterilizations. They were targeting poor kids and poor families, mostly white families, but also poor African-American families across the board.
That's why I love you, because you know history. It's all on record that the eugenics boards that Hitler came out of the U.S.
Exactly. They bragged about it. There wasn't a Nazi who said that they didn't get their ideas.
At the Nuremberg trial, they said, we're following your damn orders.
Exactly. Just following it and implementing it to its logical conclusion.
That's all it was. They thought the U.S. would go along.
Exactly. Well, and to some degree, the U.S. goes and employs a bunch of these Nazi scientists.
36,000 of them.
Exactly. So to some degree, we did, sadly.
When it comes to rebuilding your energy, convenience is key. While coffee, candy, and other sugary products can give you a short boost, the crash can leave you more tired than ever. Turbo Force from InfoWars Life is a powerful mix-in energy packet that utilizes vitamins, amino acids, and extracts used for hundreds of years to provide you focus, clarity, and a boost of energy on the go. Simply take a packet, mix it into the indicated amount of water, and enjoy. With 14 servings per box for a 2-week or more supply, this is the formula to stock up on whenever you need a boost. Perfect for work, in the car, or at home. Turbo Force is the ultimate answer to a sluggish day. Don't let your day slow you down. Perk up with Turbo Force at InfoWarsStore.com.